Good morning, beautiful souls. Welcome. I'm going to start again and thank you. Not sure why that was turned off. So here we go again. So welcome. Happy Saturday. Today, I would like to hold space for this rather challenging time that we are moving through collectively, personally, in our communities. And I would like to do a reading today regarding letting go, and a spread that I have found really useful for bringing to the surface that which we might not be aware of or be willing to let go of. So that's something I want to talk about. I want to go back to the collage decks I was discussing last week. I think I want to spend a few weeks on collage decks and talking about whether or not, for me personally, if this is something that I have the time and the energy for. It is, they're really kind of difficult to work with, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. And I want to respond to Grace. I really enjoyed sitting with her video yesterday. I took some time to actually drink a cup of coffee and listen to her words. I'm sure I was doing something else while I was listening, but I was really enjoying watching somebody else chat about the tarot. And so I thought I would start with that this morning. Welcome to Mary Beth and Clevis, who are in the chat, and those of you that are watching at home and in the background. So this was, I have to say, if you don't know Grace, she is very forthcoming. I love her manner and her style, and she is just able to say things in a way that sometimes I hold back. And I think that this particular topic is one that is definitely worthwhile sharing. And one of the themes that kept coming through in her discussion was that part of the journey of clearing out decks and really honing in and finding out what kind of decks work for you is that certain decks do not allow you to get into the mood, the liminal space that is required, that is necessary for doing a reading. And I know sometimes you'll see me on this space here, and I'll say something to the effect of, if there's something going on in the chat, I apologize for not responding. I just need to stay in my zone. And there's a certain zone for reading that is absolutely required. And if there's something that takes you out of it, it can be very hard to get back in. And I just really appreciated all of the things that she said. Now, these are in no particular order, but I do want to respond to some of these. And what Grace has done is she just took the decks that she uses all the time, pulled those to the front, and put everything else into a box. No judgment, no process, just took out the decks that she works with all the time. The rest is going away. Nothing's happening to it this year. It's just going away. And I think that is a really good exercise. And I do that, right? Because I have my acrylic stand that is over here. And a lot of those decks they stay there. And of course they do rotate. But I'm lucky that I have this sort of large stand that I could have easily 20 or 30 decks out of boxes at a time. It's very nice. Maybe not 30. So I want to respond to these. So photorealism in tarot is very difficult for me. I get distracted. And sometimes I don't understand why a deck creator would put these real people in here when they have especially the deck creator, if they're doing readings with this deck, because these people have stories and experiences and they know things about them. They're not, I don't know, it's really hard. And I find it totally distracting when I recognize a face, or it's not supposed to be somebody, but yeah, it looks like somebody. And I don't know, I can't work very well with those decks. Now I have several indie decks. Some of them are collage, some of them are not. And I have some mass market decks that have what looks like real people in them. And I tend not to use them too much. And I find that coming back and giving these collage decks a second chance is going to be really challenging, because that's one of the reasons I find them difficult. Especially, like, I think of a beautiful deck like Dust to Onyx, where part of the guidebook talks about the energy of the person behind the mask. And I may or may not relate to that. I may or may not want them in a reading. I might not want their story as part of my reading. It's interesting, I went to my Excel spreadsheet where I have a list of all the Oracle decks that I have and all that I no longer have. And do you know that I have sold or gifted, mostly sold, over 110 tarot decks. That's how many decks that I have taken out of my tarot collection over the years and given away or gotten rid of because they don't resonate with me. Rather than amassing this massive library of 1,000 tarot decks that I can't possibly use. So photorealism is really difficult. And one of the things that I completely agree with her is that when one of the decks that comes to mind that I still keep it, because there are some people in silhouette and some of the cards I truly love. Like, I think it's one of the very, very best Nine of Swords, and that is the Gaian Tarot. There's some cards in that deck that I love, and I'm not going to get rid of it. I have the lovely earlier Llewellyn version, but I can't stand those cards that have the Friends of Joanna Powell Colbert in them. I don't like those cards. I don't like looking at those people. And some of the photos... Sorry, apparently there are issues with connection today. It's a lovely process that she goes through in coloring the photographs with the pencil crayons, but some of them are just look too much like a photograph, and I can't do that. And of course there are others, and I don't want to say bad things about decks because this is personal. So I know that I will never again purchase another photorealistic tarot deck, no matter how popular it is. When a deck creator puts themselves in the deck, and I think of, I was going through a goddess deck. It's one of the, it's an oracle deck, one of the Colette Baron Reed decks, and she actually put her face into a goddess energy. That just makes me sick. I think it is so arrogant. I don't know why a creator would do that. And there's several creators who have put themselves into the decks. And I don't know, even the Osho Zen, I don't. But sometimes I have removed the Osho card. I apologize, my mic keeps disconnecting, and I'll try to keep an eye on that. So that's one thing. Let me go back to my list so I can stay on track here. I loved that you talked about card stock. Like Grace, I love shuffling cards. And there are a few decks in my library. I still have them, never use them because the card stock is awful. It's either sticky because they have those plasticky gilded edges. It has a rose petal finish that is impossible to shuffle, or it is thick cardboard stock. And in all of those cases, I'm not going to use your deck because I can't shuffle it. Shuffling is such an important part of the meditative process of sort of moving into the reading. And I love that feeling. And the deck that I'm going to use for you today ticks off so many boxes, including the shuffle ability of the deck. And I really, really do like that. I laughed really, really hard when she mentioned popular decks. There are some decks that you will see on everybody's channel. Now, this was many years back, and there's a lovely tarot tuber in the UK, and she talked about this deck. It was an animal creature deck, and she trimmed it and she edged it, and she talked about it all the time in this really charming way. And it seemed like everybody was buying it and being inspired by this deck creator. And this is Tarot of the Magical Forest. And so I bought it and I had some fun with it. I kind of was looking at the chakra colors, and I trimmed it and I edged it. And every time I used it, I thought about this other tarot tuber, and it was sort of her deck, it was never mine. And so I think I need to be really careful of purchasing a deck because somebody else loves it so much. There have been other decks that are like this. And so, sometimes people put into the chat, Sadhana made me do it, or you're on somebody else's channel and so made me do it. Be careful of that. It's really important that you connect with the deck in a personal way, not because somebody else loves it. And then something that just made me, puts a kind of a sour taste in my mouth, is that when you have a negative experience with the deck creator, and that might be through the purchasing process or some other interaction. And I have to say that once that happens, it sticks pretty hard. It sticks pretty hard, and there's a certain deck creator whose decks, like I won't buy any of her new decks. I just feel really off-put. I really feel really off-put, and so that's something that I think it's really important if you are marketing decks and you are selling decks, that customer service is everything, especially, for indie deck creators. And it's funny, she mentioned Doreen Virtue. And I have blocked Doreen Virtue on my Facebook, Instagram, things like that, because her current posts she's a very different person than when I met her. I met her in Vancouver in, I want to say around 1997, something like that. And I loved her angel workshops. I loved the energy that she was portraying. Yes, she was selling a lot of decks, and decks were being blasted out. She had so many decks for sale. But it seemed that there was an authenticity to the workshops that she was doing. And she was awakening an energy in people to trust in their intuition and the connections that they were making. And I can hold a space for that experience, and that experience that I had indeed with Doreen Virtue. That is a very different person who is out there now in social media. And I want to remember those good times. It's a bit like when a relationship turns sour and you've had some lovely experiences or years with a person. I think it's important to hold on to the good and then to let go to the present, so that that really brought something up for me that I think just is an important life lesson. So I want to, get you to think about this question. What is it about a deck that it kind of distracts you, right? And it might be the artwork. It might be a certain type of artwork. It might be, I don't know, what is it that doesn't allow you to get into that zone so you can actually get to the business of reading, which is why I have cards in the first place, right? So this is the question that kept arising as I was listening to Grace share her experiences with the cards. And then, oh my God, I laughed so hard when she said, it's something to the effect of, I'm never going to buy a deck again where I can't see the art. I also love to do readings at night by candlelight. I, for years, read in a metaphysical store. The room was kind of dim. And if you can't see the cards, it makes it really, really hard to do a reading. And I think of a couple of decks that I've had over the years where, sorry, I can't read you at night. I can't read you in the dark. And especially going forward now, because my sight is not as good as it once was, I will not be acquiring any more decks where I can't see the deck in dim light. And that might seem like a really funny thing to say. So I was thinking about that, and then I laughed even harder because there are certain decks that if I were to do a reading, pretty much even in, maybe not in the lighting that I am right now, I would need a magnifying glass. And it's only by using a magnifying glass I can get into the details of the cards. And I think that's pretty funny. So I need to be very careful about this. I don't buy a lot of tarot decks, and I bought a couple of new historical restorations lately, but I've got a very lovely library, and I really enjoy working with the decks that I have. And part of my process in sharing these collage decks with you is one of kind of going through and deciding what I'm ready to let go of. And I'm going to bring out some other wacky and wonderful ones to share with you as well too in this process. So we will get to that in a little bit. Yeah. If you saw Grace's video, let me know how you responded to that. And I think these are important things to think about. And so I would love to do a reading today. I love to read the tarot. Like I said, that's why I have the cards. And I like to reflect on the reading in terms of where we are and what is going on. And right now, up there, I think it is as intense as it is down here. And I've been reflecting on I'm feeling a little brighter today, which is interesting. I've been feeling I don't know what the word is. Like I want to stay in the shadows. That's how I've been feeling lately. I've been feeling like I want to be quiet, like I'm just not in good enough shape to be in front of the camera. It's been intense. We've had a horrific news in British Columbia. It's not close to where my home is, but there is so much that is going on in this world. And, there's things that I choose not to talk about on my channel. But I know that the more empathic you are, the more sensitive to the political environment, the natural environment, and everything that's happening in our communities as people react to everything else. It does feel like a bit of a bombardment of very challenging energy right now. And I just am very, I don't know if respectful is the right word. I have learned a thing or two over the years, and that is, if we are aware of what is going on up there, and if we can take the time to reflect on the stars and the constellations, the moon, these natural cycles of energy, and if we can respond to them as they are presenting, and we move in sync with them, then everything will be easier. It's when we sort of blunder our way through life, unaware that the space, the capacity for change, just it's not there. So I am grateful for the intensity of what's going on in the cosmos right now. And what I want to do today is be in this sort of pre-eclipse energy. And in this space, I think it's really important to almost like this morning, I woke up early and I was just listing all of the things that I want to let go of. I don't want to hold on to anymore. And it's really funny. One of the daughters that I have been quite distant from lately, haven't talked to her in ages, she called me this morning. And that was pretty interesting timing. So in this pre-eclipse energy, before this lunar new year, before the intensity of the eclipse, so we have the one that's happening with the new moon and then the full moon, and I want to invite all of you to really think about clearing space. Clearing space. Now, when I talk about letting go, some people just kind of roll their eyes. Yeah, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? How am I supposed to let go? I think some people are just afraid to let go because they've held on to this for so long. It's like, well, if I let go of it, then what? It's funny. Like, imagine you have this enormous tumor removed from your body. Great. The tumor's gone. But then, all of the connective tissue, the blood vessels, the organs, the fat even, everything has to find its new way. It has to find a new place. You have to develop new ways of making everything, fit again. Yeah, the tumor's gone, but now there's this process of healing and everything finding its way. And I feel like we're in this place where we need to start, kind of cleanse that. Or I don't know if there is construction or something close by. I don't know what's going on with the connecting, disconnecting, so I apologize for that. I am going to try to carry on. I hope I don't have to cut this short. But let's do the reading. So many of you have seen this spread before, and this is a 6-card spread in the place in the shape of a cup. And the idea that of this spread is that what you need to release is sitting at the bottom of the cup. And it needs to make its way to the surface so you can release it. But what is at the top of the cup needs to get out of the way first so that it can rise. So it's a bit of a process. And I think this spread is a really good one to do at this time as we move towards the eclipse and the new moon in Aquarius. I am using a favorite deck. This deck is called Pagan Otherworlds. It's published by Usi. It's a rather pippish deck with lush and rich humans in the cards, beautiful costumes. It is a place of, I don't know, it's a place in between worlds. And I absolutely love working with this deck. And so I'm going to do this reading for the collective, demonstrating this spread, and I invite you to choose a deck that you feel deeply connected to, that you can read with easily, and bring into your hearts an openness of letting go and of release. Even what I may not be aware of at this time, allow this energy to come to the surface, to come to the front of my mind. Let this reading stir something that might make more sense even in my dreams tonight. Because I know that as I move through these days ahead, I need to clear a path. I need to clear space. Physically, I need to get some junk out of my house. I need to empty a drawer, empty a cupboard, get that stack of boxes to the thrift store, charity shop. It's just time. If there is an old garden shed that is littered with all kinds of broken things, clean it out, right? All of this is symbolic of your willingness to clear space. If it's difficult to do it in terms of relationships or people or more challenging things, do it physically. It will have an effect, and it will rebound in magical and wonderful ways. Look what card just flew out of the deck. And I love that optimism. Today is the 14th day of February, and this day is a 4 of Pentacles day. And I will talk about this in terms of the collage cards, but we're in the 3rd decan of Aquarius, Capricorn. The moon is in the 3rd decan of Capricorn. That's where the 4 of Pentacles comes in. And of course, we are in the 3rd decan of Aquarius with the sun. I'll get into this more later, but I was thinking about this 4 of Pentacles energy and the moon and the sun and the optimism. That's why that sun card felt so special to me. So let's do this spread, okay? And I'll keep an eye on my controller here. I can see that the internet is really slow too, so. All right. I'm going to start at the top of the cup. Okay, so 6 cards. Top of the chalice. Bottom of the deck is 3 of Wands. That feels really hopeful. But let's see what this reading says about. Okay, so I want to keep these over. I'm going to look at the top of the card first. I believe this is the first card that I put down, and that is the 10 of Pentacles. So we have 10 of Pentacles, 4 of Cups, and 7 Chariot. So this as the top of the cup, this is what needs to fall away so that this muck down here can come to the surface. So why would the 10 of Pentacles and why would the Chariot and the 4 of Cups be right there at the surface? Well, the 4 of Cups is there at the surface. Oh my goodness. The 4 of Cups is there at the surface as it's kind of a moody card, isn't it? Kind of moody, and it's a lunar decan. And it's in Cancer. It's a lunar decan in Cancer. And it's kind of a tricky card. And in this particular deck, you can see that there's an opening here. And it looks like this tree has recovered. You know, maybe it was destroyed in a storm, but it's coming back. And you can see how there's some new growth at the top of the tree. Maybe at one point it was struck by lightning, but it's coming back, and it's coming back in this rather barren place. And maybe it's being offered, you know, some water, some nourishment. But I do see some optimism here. 4s, remember, create. Hello, 9 Worlds Tarot. 4s create a sense of new foundation. And that's another thing that I loved about the moon being in the 4 of Pentacles, is this stability that card creates. So I think there is... Oh, hi, Kristen Louise. I didn't know that was your channel name. I didn't... I want to remember that this is also a card of emotional stability. And all 4s create a lovely sacred space. But maybe there's something about letting that go. You know, I was saying that in a way I kind of hold back. I was talking about Grace and how she is so forthright with her words. And I find her very funny in that way. And sometimes I do talk that way, usually not on camera. But I just need to let go and say what I need to say, right? And just kind of let it rip. And that's part of the letting go process. So it's kind of a beautiful card to have there. So it's almost a permission to emotionally kind of purge. I think there are high expectations in both the Chariot and in the 10 of Pentacles. I think they both are kind of intimidating cards. They ask us to perform in a way, to keep going. When I saw this card here, I'm thinking, yeah, I kind of need to let go of this idea that I need to keep striving, because I know what I'm looking for is space and freedom and peace. And both the 10 of Pentacles and the Chariot card feel like trying too hard, just trying too hard. And so what if letting these fall away makes room for a deeper understanding of the cards that are in the middle of your reading that say, indeed, fortitude is it's a really interesting journey for a lot of people. It's hard. It's hard to stay strong all the time. It's hard to sort of, be on your... Interesting how we have the Cancer card and then the Leo card. That's really kind of weird, funny, haha, and they're on the right side, these majors. Moon and Sun, right? Moon and Sun, Cancer and Leo. These are the only constellations that have one planetary correspondence to them. All the others have two. Something about that Cancer and Moon card being here, and then we have another 4. But what I was saying about stability and fortitude, what I was saying about fortitude is that our journey with fortitude, our journey with strength, I think we need to give ourselves space for that. Sometimes it's okay to feel less than. It's okay to be quiet. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to go through days and weeks of depression. Those are experiences that if we can learn to observe them, if you are lost in them and you are hopefully you are receiving some outside support to help you with that. But in a deep, dark response to all that's going on in this world, sometimes it's hard to keep the bright light of the solar plexus chakra alive. So there's that aspect of fortitude. And then there's also this really interesting, connection with this card right now. And I think that strength also speaks to our animal nature and a love of our animal nature. And whether that is our sexuality, whether that is our just general lust for life, wanting to live and to play and to, just let go of the expectations of what we're supposed to do and when we're supposed to do it. To be okay with taking a day off because I don't want to deal with that at work today. I'm just going to screw it. I'm going to take the day off and do what I want to do. I need to play. I need to shop. I need to go for a hike. I need to, I don't know, there's this taking charge of your life. Now, this needs to come to the surface and make space for the greatest challenge, which sits at the bottom of the cup. And fortitude or strength and the 4 of Wands. The 4 of Wands is a really beautiful 4. It's in Aries. It's the last decan of Aries, Venus and Mars. It speaks really nicely to this card. This is Venus and Mars. This is a card where we look at, again, a harmony of masculine and feminine energy, the purity, the intuitive and soft nature of the feminine in response to the power of the masculine, and the dance between the two, and how they so importantly support one another. And so I want you to think about these 2 cards in your spread, because they kind of frame and are going to help you find a mood for the greatest challenge. And that is declaring your truth. That is being okay to stand alone. That is saying, I'm going to do this differently. And it doesn't have to be in an FU sort of way. There can be a quiet independence here. Because she can only rise in the space of the stability of the Four of Wands and the harmony of the Four of Wands. Her back is tall and strong because of the Four of Wands. And she rises up and she lets these expectations and this perfection, this need to perform go. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to say what I need to say. And yes, this might mean I'm going to separate myself from the crew at work. It might mean my daughter's not going to speak to me for 6 months or a year. But this is about me clearing the way for a fresh start that's going to come loud and clear in March and April. So if you're doing this spread, really think about why it's so important these cards need to fall away. I find this, it almost reminds me of a teacup reading. And it's not something that Tasseography is not something I have spent enough time with. But I like the idea of it in that it just reminds me of examining what's on the bottom of the cup. Because there's always something to be learned there. And I think the Queen of Swords in that way, can help. There's an airiness to this card, spaciousness to this card. And she'll help you to get clear on what needs to be cut away and released. And I think also she gives me courage. She gives me courage. And I love that she has that Four of Wands at her back. Okay, so I hope that either the spread or some of the words, as I have described the cards on the table today, give you food for thought for moving through these next few days. Okay? Now, in terms of the collage decks that we were looking at last week. So I was looking at 2 different decks. And one is the Ritual Tarot, and one is the Voyager Tarot. And very interesting. So this is the World card, and this is the Saturn card. And it is, Saturn is the ruler of both the sign that the moon is in and the sign that the sun is in at this time. So the moon and sun are in this lovely conversation. And the World card is this place where we do some preparation before we go through the gate, so to speak. This is the World card in the Ritual Tarot. And in the Voyager Tarot, this is the card here. Now, one of the troubles with collage decks is that there is just so much going on, and it's very hard to do a reading with multiple cards. And so if you are, and I think there's a lot of good things in both of these decks. And so as I sit with these cards, I'm going to leave them on my table. My moon is in Capricorn. I'm really curious about what's going on right now. And I'm saying that the moon, so Capricorn, devil, right? Capricorn, devil, Four of Pentacles, final decan of Capricorn. And I was looking at this Four of Pentacles and the hands in prayer and the mask that's on. And why is the stability behind? The coins are rising in the air. It's almost like the coins are rising from the earth to spirit. And I wonder, now that it's interesting because something similar happened last week when I was doing the reading, that I saw something new, where I saw this connection. And you know how I said this Ten of Pentacles is falling away and the Chariot's falling away. And the city, like this figure is outside, right? Kind of letting that that which we're supposed to do, that which we are tied to, let's step away from it. And it's almost, there's something really interesting going on here with the hands in prayer and the coins rising in the background. I want you to think about that, what that means to you. And how is that different from this collage of the Four of Worlds? And here I almost feel like there's a bombardment of energy. And you can see the sun is rising in the center of the card. This is a solar decan. This is where the moon is, right? Not the sun at this time. And so my process in reading and looking at decanic cards and where the moon is one in helping me, just reflect on the now. And sometimes a card reading isn't necessarily a drawing of cards, but just pulling out the cards of where the moon is now. So the moon is in the sign of Capricorn, devil card. Devil is ruled by Saturn. That's the world card. And this is the decan. And then we also have, we're moving into the third decan of Capricorn, which takes us into the Aquarius court card, which is the King of Swords. And so this is the story of the moon right now. And so I sit with that, and I'm going to look at these pictures and see what arises. And there's something here about the strength of this particular King of Swords, and the softness and the integration of the World card. And I can certainly see something quite similar with what I was feeling in the reading itself. And so if we match these up with the Voyager Tarot, we have the Devil's Play card. And I'm going to run out of time, so I'm not going to do this for the sun. Let's just do this for the moon. doesn't this feel like, can we give ourselves permission to do what we need to do, even if it's just for a day? And that might really help us to unload or find an understanding of what it is we need to let go of here. Okay, so let's line these up as pairs. Universe, Four of Pentacles, Devil, and it's the Einstein card. It's a very cosmic kind of card, very different from the Greek god in the ritual tarot. And like Cleva said, that maybe these are decks for no more than 3 cards. And I think that if you have the patience and the time to sit with the collages. Now, there's a couple of different approaches. One is to get into a rabbit hole and to start to research a symbol, a part of the collage that you don't understand. Maybe you want to actually, in history, find the statue, you know, where it's actually come from. Maybe you want to locate the particular structure that's in the background. There might be a rabbit hole that you are guided to. But maybe there's something in the collage that gives you a different perspective on your understanding of any given card that you might not see in a simpler presentation. I'm not comfortable reading with collage decks, especially when they are so busy like this. I prefer to pull out a single card from the Voyager Tarot and read one of Lloyd Heglin's poems and just sort of sit and drink in the energy of the card. I don't think that going forward I will ever buy another collage deck. I don't use them. I don't work with them enough to they're too much. And I don't know that every deck creator has the, and you know, I don't know, this is different in another deck as well too. So let me say this. I think the issue of knowledge that goes behind the creation of a tarot deck is confounded immensely when you're trying to do it in collage. And this shows up as much in an art deck and in a very weird and different way in a collage deck. So what I mean by that is, let's look at one of these cards. Okay, let's look at the four of Pentacles. And I'm going to zoom in. This is connected to the devil. Both of these deck creators are fully aware of Golden Dawn associations. So they refer to the Thoth Tarot, they refer to the Waite Smith Tarot, they very learned deck creators, okay? So where is the devil in this card? Is it here? Sure it is. We see the Capricornus here. It's not a sea goat, but it's a goat of sorts. We see it here in terms of the mask. So the energy of the devil is certainly brought in here. This is a solar decan. Do we see the sun? Sure we do. It's sunny. There's no clouds in the sky. And we see the sun rising here in the center. Okay. The Four of Pentacles, 2, 3, 4 of Pentacles is the building. It's the first suit. It's the first sign of the suit of Pentacles. 2, 3, 4 in Pentacles. This is where we create this. We do the work in this world. It's like an opening. It's initial work, initial preparation in this world, in our community. Now, in the ritual tarot, we see that there is it's an old and established town. And so there's a question here about where I'm standing outside of it and why I'm standing outside of it. And in this particular deck, we're looking at planetary and weather, and it looks like there's some mountains here, almost like the planets have come down to Earth. This cloud here almost looks like it has risen as the result of human excess, like in a factory or something. Is there both the light and the shadow of the Four of Pentacles showing in these decks? Do we see the stability of the Four of Pentacles? Material stability, financial stability, is it there? Do we see the result of excess? And in terms of your understanding of the need to let go, the need to release today, tomorrow, as we settle into the eclipse energy of Tuesday, how do you respond to this card? And granted, this is the card. This card will be here for today and tomorrow. No, it won't. Tomorrow we will be moving into Aquarius. The moon will be in Aquarius, or later today. So this is really this is a fleeting reflection. And I think it's an important one. This is the beauty of working with the decans. And so my personal inquiry, I guess, is, going forward, am I going to work with these decks? So how do you feel, right? How does that make you feel? Now, isn't it interesting that the horned beast is in the same position in both cards? Right side, moving forward. Super cool. And what if we put the decan of later today and tomorrow next to that? I don't know that I can find it fast enough. It might be here. So if you want to ask yourself, where is that goat? Where is that goat going? Well, that goat is going to the Five of Swords. That goat is going to the Five of Crystals and the Five of Swords. To a place of it's kind of chaotic. It's like that goat is ready to face a challenge, and they can only face the challenge by leaving some sort of establishment behind. So why do this? Because there is so much that is built into the tarot. There's so much great stuff that's here. You can do this with a collage deck. You can do this with any deck. It's just, it's a beautiful part of studying the tarot, and I really, really love it. So lots of food for thought, and I pray that all of us, each of us in our own way, can find time to clear and to make space for the clearing that the universe is doing on our behalf. And let us all respect that intensity by making space for it to happen. And like I suggested earlier on, the physical aspect of clearing something in the home certainly is a way of acknowledging the emotional component that can be more challenging to do. So thanks for being here, and sending you all love and light. Have a great love and friendship day too, Clevis. I will be with my dear friend today, and the sun is shining, so I am grateful for that. Take good care of yourselves. Namaste.